How do we afford full-time travel as a family on a budget? Come with us today and find out 6 ways that we make this dream a reality. It's so simple, it'll blow your mind.
You take the high chair, I take the low chair.
Going to have a Wiggles theme today.
Okay, everybody, get ready to...
Okay.
Let's film. Yummy, yummy. Let's film. Yummy, yummy. Step 1. Do your hair and makeup. Then we sit down and talk like idiots. Did you
say that?
I said idiots too.
Hi everyone, welcome to Learning Brave. I'm Skylar.
I'm Ross.
And today we are doing the final part 3 of our 3-part segment of how to afford full-time family travel. In the first one, we talked about our original plan to launch out on family travel.
We had a solid plan.
Solid plan. And then in part 2, we talked about how it all collapsed. And now, to finish it off, we're going to tell you what we're doing now to make this dream of ours a reality.
Yeah, and how we've continued to travel over the past 4 years despite challenges.
We had originally planned for Ross to not work for the 9 months that we were in Europe. Originally, he was going to study online while we travelled Europe. This seemed like a great idea until we got to Europe, and it was just like...
I think I lasted a month and I was like, I don't want to study. I'm in Europe, guys.
Not just you didn't want to. We had
it was crazy.
So many little kids, and just the basics of feeding them.
Feeding them, housing them, and entertaining them.
Yeah, it took over everything, and it was a 2-person job. So Ross deferred his studies.
I deferred it until the following year. So I think, I deferred it a semester.
So Ross decided to go on a career change, and he chose teaching. Now, we had in mind that we wanted to choose something that could take us around the world. So our first tip, number 1 tip of how to travel full-time as a family: find a way to earn money either remotely or some kind of job that will take you to different parts of around the world.
Yeah,
the easier version is remotely.
Yeah, so find a job that allows you to work remotely or gives you the opportunity to work abroad and to experience things abroad. Yeah,
I have a friend who is an OT, an occupational therapist, and she worked in Ireland. She's from New Zealand, so different jobs actually provide more opportunities than you may think.
Oh yeah, there is so many vocations out there that will allow you to work overseas.
But if not, find some way to have some sort of income stream that you can get online.
Yeah.
So the biggest tip that we can give you in this category is to find a way to have multiple income streams. We are just feeling our way through that now. When we began, we had 2 kinds of teaching going on.
Yep.
And we're trying to do a bit more blogging, and even our children are getting the spirit of it. My son's setting up a photography business, and he wants to do product marketing. And so there's just we're just trying to get really creative and think of a few ways to have some money trickling in.
Yeah. Ideally, that's the best way to do that ongoing. But we didn't have that to start with, as Skylar said, and I began really actually teaching English to Chinese students online. Probably not the best ongoing, but it gave us something to start with, and from there other things have come and more opportunities have come.
There's so many different opportunities. If you had a look online, I have friends that are starting personal life coaching, and there's just another friend who can do accountant work, and there's just so many different things.
Everything is turning online now, so there are a lot of opportunities. Whatever job you're doing right now, I would be looking at how is that being done online right now, and look for opportunities.
So if you can become location independent in your work, you can travel.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And if you're looking for something, teaching is always an option if you are an English speaker. We both also got our certificates for teaching English as a foreign language. So we just kind of prepared a few things that we could then travel again and have a few more qualifications under our belt.
Tip number 2, live in a cheap place.
When possible.
When possible.
Yeah.
I know you probably hear that and go, but nowhere's cheap. There are so many places around the world that are cheap.
2 years after our launch into full-time travel, Ross had become a teacher. He was earning money online. We actually felt as a family that we were sick of traveling. We were pretty worn out. We'd been in some really foreign-feeling countries, and we were just ready for a little bit of familiarity.
Familiarity.
I can never say that word.
Familiarity.
Familiarity.
Not familiarity. Familiarity.
Familiarity.
Yes.
Yeah. So we actually made a move to the United States of America. We were like, we've traveled, we're ready to settle. And so we shipped a container of our goods over and we rented a house like normal in the normal rental market, and we were ready to settle down for a year or two of normal life. We lasted
5 months.
5 months. We missed the travel and we realized
it was so expensive.
it was really expensive. It was actually more expensive than now when we're moving around all the time.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, since that time, we've been to probably over 35 states of the United States and spent 5 months in Canada. And all of those experiences in traveling around have been way cheaper than those 5 months of living, staying put in the suburbs and in the town in the United States.
I think it was just like the combination of like the rent was more, we had utility bills which really added up. Because we had our own place, we were kind of buying more things and just a whole different mentality. And so it was way more expensive. And so 5 months later, we were getting the travel itch and we were like,
we're out of here.
Yeah, we've got to get out of here to save money.
It was actually a really good reminder how it is cheaper to travel than it is to stay put for us. You know, it was a good reminder of that.
Tip number 3. It's a follow-on from tip number 2. So we concentrate on the big 3, which is food, accommodation and transport. That's kind of what our general expenses boil down to once we're traveling full-time.
Whenever we start to plan the next place to go, I will always look at these big 3. I'll do a bit of research online. I'll have a look at what's the general rental prices like. I'll look on Airbnb. What are the going rates for accommodation on Airbnb? I'll also really look at food. So amazingly online,
it's a big expense for us. Our children eat like ravenous wolves.
We've got 3 teenagers.
Everybody say grace.
Bless this, O Lord.
Grace!
And they just consume mountains of food. Some of you might be like, food's not such an issue. It is for us.
It is for us.
Top 3.
It is. And so, as a largish family, 5 children, that's a big one. So, I mean, what I normally do is there is a couple of things online. I go and Google, cost estimate of cost of living for a particular place, and there's lots of websites that give you cost of living. And I always flick down to the spot that has the food. It gives you a general range of food and what the cost is, and that helps me to understand.
And we hope there's an Aldi.
Yes, if there's an Aldi,
we're good. Aldi's
in that
great.
town, which east coast of the United States there is, west coast there isn't. Most of Europe there's Aldi, most other countries there's Aldi. Then I know that I'm...
Well, not Asia.
Not Asia, no. But everything
but
in
Asia,
everything in
Asia
is
the
cheap.
food, you can just go to restaurants and buy it off the street.
You
You're
can.
fine.
Like Penang.
Yeah.
Penang was like, we lived up $1
And Japan.
$1 a meal.
Japan's an expensive country, but not the food. The food,
Yeah.
well, I mean, I suppose it depends what you're eating, but generally you can get food really cheap.
That's true.
Yeah.
So we'll always look at that. And one other thing that I like to do as well is I'll find a local supermarket and I'll go online and have a look at what they're selling in store. And
He's
generally
really into this.
I do.
He's become our resident grocery shopper.
I'm the
And
grocery connoisseur.
I can't stand going shopping with him because he remembers the price of everything in every country
I do.
and compares them in his head and knows if it's worth buying or not.
Yeah, I do.
It's exhausting.
I love food though. This is one of my really fun topics. And there's one other thing I want to tell you about is I'll also look and find out when I get to a place where is the local produce? Where's the fresh vegetables and fruit?
Yeah, local farmers markets.
Oh yeah.
When we're in Canada, in Prince Edward Island, gleaning the fields is a thing they do. And
Potato gleaning.
Yes, we went potato gleaning and we got all these free potatoes and we lived on potatoes for 5 months.
And the way that I find that is when I get to a place, I'll ask the locals, hey, where do you go for bulk, cheap fruit and vegetables? Because that's really a big staple for us, isn't it?
Okay, so food, transport, accommodation, focus on those 3 things and a lot of the other unnecessary expenses kind of drift away.
Tip number 4, we travel slow. We find that if we are racing through and, traveling like a tourist, it becomes a lot more expensive.
Yeah, that's not cheap. That's not cheap travel. Traveling slow is how you travel full-time as a family. At least a month in a place.
Yep.
We would say that because when you stay a month, you can often get good discounts with accommodation.
Wonderful discounts. Sometimes 50% or more discounts if you stay a month.
Yeah. So travel slow. Also, when you travel slow, you can have you can buy groceries and do that much easier. If you're on the move, you have to be eating more
takeaway and restaurants, and
yeah.
That's really expensive. So traveling slow again helps with accommodation and food. We actually right now, as we're traveling around, we travel with a crock pot, a slow cooker. No joke. We carry it with us, and there's been times that we've stopped and been in a place and we bring out our slow cooker and we just cook up meals. And we've even done that when we've stayed somewhere for 1 week.
A cooler version of that is an Instapot.
An Instapot.
But we don't have one of those. We have an old slow cooker someone gave us. So we just
Which was free.
For
And it's great. It works great.
So our sweet spot, I think, is 3 months. I think that is a really good amount to still move around and see places, but yet still really get to know the area and the people. So
Absolutely.
That's probably our favourite amount of time.
Yep.
Tip number 5. We haven't talked about this in depth yet, but we will. Remote education is something that we've really embraced. So our children are world schoolers, and we have mentioned that before. We like to engage as much as possible and learn at source and hands-on learning and that kind of thing. But as our children have become teenagers, we like to enroll them in a remote online school. And so we'll be talking a lot more about that in the future. We have this amazing school that we love, and we found it we're still paying for the courses, but compared to what we would be paying for education back home, I mean, in Australia, you pay for uniforms, books, bags, all this stuff that you don't need when you are learning online. So we've managed to reduce costs in that way and still provide excellent education for our kids. And of course, the traveling is a huge part of their education. And then, we also get a few workbooks here and there, and then they have their teachers online. So.
Yeah. And it works really well. And it is cheaper.
Yeah.
And finally, tip number 6, house sitting.
House
sitting. It's something new to us. We've only started to do that over the past 6 to 12 months, but it has been awesome.
Oh yeah.
It's saved us so much money.
Changed the game, man. It's made it totally much more feasible to go maybe to places that are not as cheap, but if we can manage to house sit and find a good spot, then it suddenly makes everything more affordable.
Yeah, we spent a whole week in Washington, D.C., in the nation's capital here.
Over Christmas time
for free.
And so we are going to help you guys learn how to do that. We're going to go in depth of how you can get house sitting jobs even when you have kids. We have 5 kids. And we thought it would be impossible, but it's turned out it's not. It's turned out actually to be a wonderful part of how we make full-time travel work.
Absolutely.
Brilliant!
Brilliant, Max!
Brilliant! You reject your own nose!
These are our 6 tips for how the Gilbert family continues to afford family travel around the world.
And how you can too. So come join us as we go more in depth in each of these things to help you learn and dream about ways that you can travel full-time with your family as well.
You do not have to be like everybody else. You can branch out and you can do the things that you want to do. Okay?
Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining us. Remember, if you would like to learn more, check out our blog, www.learningbrave.com, and let us know if you have any more questions. We would love to help you out and answer them if we can. Bye.
Bye. Fruit salad, yummy, yummy. Hot potato, hot potato. Where's Jeff? Is he sleeping outside? Where's Jeff? And he go for a ride. It's a filming day. Filming day. We've got
We're like Wiggles.
woodpeckers.
Filming day. Hot potato, hot potato.
Filming day, filming day. Filming day, filming day.